I have been sitting on this Iceland video for 6 months now, and that is mostly due to the fact that I didn't know how to deal with this kind of footage. Iceland is so beautiful that I just didn't feel like I could do it justice with any of the footage that I filmed, especially because I'm not a travel YouTuber. But then at the same time, I remember that I am not really a YouTuber at all, and I can make a video about whatever I want. So welcome to the Iceland video. Oh wow! Now before I get into the trip, let me explain to you how I ended up going to Iceland. Aside from the fact that I have always loved the idea of going to Iceland and I've always thought it was a beautiful country, the main reason is because I am in a relationship with this bean. Now, this might surprise you, but Yuri is actually half Icelandic and his dad still lives in Iceland and is a very, very proud Icelander. He actually used to spend his summers as a teenager herding sheep in the very mountains that we ended up hiking through. He had loads of stories and loads of things to tell us, and it was just a really nice and accessible way for us to travel through Iceland because we had a place to stay, we had a car to borrow, we had someone who spoke the language. And just for the hell of it, Yuri's mum and Yuri's sister also came for the ride. Not for the hike, but definitely for the car rides. So the very first thing that Yuri and I did was do this really, really famous hike. We basically spent an entire day with Yuri's dad just driving into the mountains. He dropped us off. We spent some time in one of the baths there, like a natural hot spring. His dad drove off and we started our hike.
Good night.
Welcome to... Hello.
Good night.
Yuri. Hello. And welcome to day one of the Laugavegur trail. We are currently in Laugavegur.
Jumping Icelandic.
So we are currently in Laugavegur, which means the countryman's bath. And today was a really beautiful day, and I'm excited to see what tomorrow brings. Is that a fair review?
Yeah.
Alright. Like, subscribe.
Anyway, we set off the next morning in the most beautiful sunshine. Yuri and I just soaked up the scenes and the colours and the smell, and we spent some time chit-chatting, and before we knew it, we arrived at Raftiniskur, which was our very first hut for the night. Now, we actually arrived there pretty early. It was only 12 in the afternoon, so I think we only hiked 4 hours at this point, and we were going to continue on, but then we spoke to the hut warden and he actually convinced us to stay for two reasons. One reason being that it was going to get really windy that night, and now at least we could put our tent directly behind some shelter, which the next hut down didn't have. And number two, we had the time, and especially because there was a nice little day hike that we could do to some nearby ice caves. So Yuri and I did a little extra day hike, and then we ate our little dinner in the evening, and then we went into our tent. The next day was pure rain. Yuri and I packed up our tent in the rain. Then we went inside to have our breakfast, and the hut warden came bursting in through the door, and he was like, "You have to leave now because it's only gonna get worse." So we drove off. He chased us away going, "Ale, ale, ale." So the only footage I have of that morning is this. Day 2, baby! We are racing because it's supposed to really start raining at 11, and we are up in the mountains waving goodbye to the hut's already gone. Well, we waved goodbye to the hut. And I do have some really, really cool pictures of this part because this part of the hike was gorgeous. It was so beautiful, and I really don't want to think too much about all the stuff that I actually missed because of all the rain, but I really, really enjoyed being up there in the mountains, and then you come out and you get to see these gorgeous green fields. There were 2 river crossings that day and just relentless rain, and I felt really prepared for all of that, but there was one thing that I wasn't prepared for, and that was actually getting blisters. I have done quite a lot of walks in my life, and I have never had blister problems because I always know you should treat them early. My shoes are normally very comfortable. I had special merino wool socks, but I guess I just wasn't rain prepared enough. So, you know, as soon as I felt the rubbing, I said to Yuri, we have to stop. I need to put on a blister plaster. But because it was raining so relentlessly, there was just no chance for me to properly dry my feet and get the blister plasters on and, you know, let them dry properly because everything was just soaking wet. So the plasters weren't sticking properly and just like it was wet and you just wanted to continue on. We ended that day with the start of a pretty painful blister. But the good news is that we ended it at Vangilhutte, and this was definitely my favorite hut, and with good reason.
So, we just had dinner. This is the view that we are camping around. And we are going back to the main hut because this lady was selling delicious looking potato pitta things. So we are gonna have them. Rhubarb. Rhubarb never tasted so good. I love it. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, Vangilhutte just had a very good vibe, and it could just be because the sun came out. It came out in the evening, and it also came out the next morning. And there was a really cute little toilet right next to where we put our tent up. There was a little hut where you could sit and talk to people. So they had like 2 huts, loads of space, like this whole extra field that we could sit at. It was just really nice, especially because the woman not only sold special treats, but she also sold a few necessities. So I bought some Vaseline with her because I'd forgotten and my lips had gotten quite dry. And yeah, this was my favorite hut. Like by far, this was my favorite hut. One thing I will say about this whole experience is it might look really sunny and it might look really nice, but it was still friggin' cold. It was so cold, it was frosty, and like we had prepared for this, but I don't want to give you the impression that it wasn't that cold. So this is what our tent looked like in the morning. I suppose I'll also give you a little bit of a tent tour here.
The current state of our tent. We've got a book. This book was written in 1666. I did not realize, but it's very small. That's why I bought it. And my batteries, which I will be sleeping with, a sleeping mask, earplugs, camera I don't know what to do with, and clothes. And Yuri.
Hola.
And I know you ultralight packers do not approve, but I brought a pillow and I'm really excited to sleep on it tonight.
And yeah, before we knew it, it was time to wake up in a hot and sunny new climate. This was day 3. All of this was day 3. It was just black sand. It reminded me of the Sahara.
This day is never ending.
We started our day off with a river crossing, and my blister was still a problem, but because we were walking through pretty flat soil, I did a bunch of it with my wading shoes, so not my actual walking boots, because I wanted to give my feet some rest. I took some ibuprofen and we just took it really, really slow. This was also the time where you start noticing the people around you are doing the same walk, because you're all walking the same path that you can see so far in the distance and so far behind you. So we got talking to some of the people, and they were all suggesting that we continued on, not to the hut that we were planning on going to, but the next hut down, because the weather was so nice and it was going to turn again. So we got to the huts at around lunchtime. We sat there for a while, and then we decided to continue on, which was brave because I was really struggling with my blisters.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, my toe is really hurting.
And actually our spirits were pretty high for a really, really long time on that day. I think it was just the really nice weather and actually getting to talk to some fellow hikers, and also seeing the famous mountain. I don't know if this is famous, but while we were in the car, Yuri's dad had told us that once we approach Thorsmore, there's a big mountain, and in his words, it is shaped like a dick. And he was right. It was right there. So we were really proud and really happy to see that. So we were in good spirits and we were doing well, and we started slowing down because we thought we were almost there. And then all of a sudden, I heard a sound.
I am really disappointed about the fact that I did not know to cross this river now.
And this is totally our fault. But I had always had in my head that there were 3 river crossings and that the last one was really bad. So we thought that the one that we'd already had was really, really bad. But no, it was actually this one. And the sun had already set. And I guess here I should also clarify that Yuri and I had decided to do the entire hike without walking sticks. Judge me all you want. I still stand by that decision because walking sticks are very annoying if you're taking pictures the whole time and you're like wanting to use your hands, then the walking sticks are just in the way. And I really didn't feel like I needed them. I felt quite comfortable without the walking sticks, but I did know that this could be a little bit of a problem with the river crossings because obviously you can't see the bottom of the water, so you don't know where you're stepping to. So anyway, Yuri and I ended up like taking off our things and then we just held like shoulder to shoulder like this, and then we just like waddled through, which actually was very, very stable. So I stand by my decision not to take walking sticks. It went fine and I felt really happy. And then when I went to sit down and put my shoe back on, I like put my shoe on my foot and a huge chunk of skin just came along with it because obviously it had been all raw from the blisters and everything. So I just had like a chunk of exposed skin at this point, which did make us think that maybe this was the end of the road for us. The question on everyone's mind is, Yuri, do you think we will be going up tomorrow?
I could.
You could continue?
I think it's better not to.
You think it's better not to? Because of my blisters?
Yes. I think Iceland is treating you badly.
Which was a shame because we had initially planned to continue on and do the extra 2 days of the Fimmvörðuháls. But we decided to just maybe stop in Thorsmork, especially because Yuri's dad was going to meet us there anyway for a barbecue because they were going to camp there anyway. So we walked to Thorsmork and then we had a phone call saying, no, we have to go to Bazaar. So we continued on to Bazaar. Thorsmork was beautiful, by the way. I would have liked to have stayed there, but we continued on to Bazaar. And we get to Bazaar, it's like 9 or 10 in the evening, like it feels really late and very long. And then Yuri gets a phone call from his sister saying that Yuri's dad was not going to be able to drive his car to Bazaar. So we'd have to just put up our own tent and like do our little cooking, which absolutely was the plan originally, but we were quite excited to veer off from the plan, which we could no longer veer off from. So we went to bed and then we woke up the next morning like, oh my God, we have to do this. Like we have to go to Skogar. So we took our time. I really enjoyed cleaning my feet properly. I gave them a good scrub, I gave them a good clean, and then I like wrapped them up tight and properly. I took some ibuprofen, I took some paracetamol, and we took our sweet time that morning. We talked to the hut warden, we made sure that like the weather was going to be good and that, you know, we could do it. By the time we set off, it was 12 in the afternoon. It's pretty late now anyway. I think we only left at like 10.
12.
Is it 12? It's 12. So we set off and we started walking, and I swear it was beautiful. Like all of this hike was beautiful. And we started climbing, we got to the ropes bit, which was absolutely fine. We took this like alternative route, which was really nice. It was really quiet. I will say maybe it was a little bit too quiet for my liking. There was no one, there were no footsteps. It was just like, you go and you're there. It felt like you were walking on the moon. Hello from the alternative route, which is really pretty, but way less traveled. So you're all alone. Also very nice, but also includes a few places where Yuri and I genuinely considered taking off our shoes to do another river crossing. On the plus side, we have this gorgeous view. We finally made it to what I would like to refer to as the up house, because it was just this like tiny, cute little cabin in the middle of this mountain, like right on the top. And we make it there, and it's like raining and cold at this point, and this man comes out in his slippers and his pajamas, and he's like, "Oh, welcome guys, you made it. Come on in. It's so nice and warm in here." And Yuri and I were just like, no, we actually haven't booked this hut. And they're like, oh no, well, where are you going then? And we were like, no, we're actually, this is our lunch break. So we had our lunch break at 4 in the afternoon. We're continuing on to the next hut, which in hindsight, it was only about 3 hours to the next hut. So it really wasn't that ridiculously crazy, but he looked at us as if we had signed a death sentence. He was like, you're continuing to the next hut? Now? And like, yeah, we're continuing on. So we sat outside and ate a pathetic little protein bar and a wrap. And then we continued on, and it was cold. It was very cold and very miserable. And I will say that this was probably the scariest part of the hike for me, just because like when you start getting tired, you lose your grip a little bit. And there were some parts with like ice and rope, and the rope, it just didn't feel that stable to me. I don't think I have any footage of this because I was really focused on just arriving at the next hut, but you know, you're going and it's just like this like dangling rope and you're like, where is this even attached to? There was like a really steep bit down that I was like going on my butt down, and I just didn't feel that comfortable. And I can't explain how cold and windy it was. Obviously by the time we made it to the actual hut that we were going to stay at, all the good spots had been taken by the tents and it was going to be really windy, so we put it like in the best next spot. But it was so windy there that there was no real place for us to like light our fuel and heat up our food.
Just quite windy and cold. Our food did not warm up. There is no water here.
That's the way.
The hike isn't difficult, like it's very doable. It's really not that far, it's not that steep. It's just so wet. Good morning. We're just saying goodbye to the hut. So anyway, we continued on the next day, and at this point we were so used to the rain that we just had some moments where we just like stopped and enjoyed the view in the rain. There wasn't that much to see, but it was really, really nice because it was quiet, and then we slowly descended down to Skogar. It was a very easy and chill walk, and we just reflected on the whole thing. And by the time we made it down, we were fully experienced hikers. Now this might surprise you, but I do actually recommend this hike. It might not sound like it was a good time. I know many people have said to me like, oh, this sounds like a horrible hike, but it was maybe one of the best hikes I've ever done. Even though it sounds like I didn't have a good time, it was so beautiful and like such a nice distance and pace that I would definitely recommend this hike to many people. I don't think you should do it without walking sticks if you're going earlier in the year, because Yuri and I went like late August. So all the snow had already gone. And also, I think you should use walking sticks if you're even a little bit insecure on your feet, because we are just both quite comfortable going down steep bits and just like kind of like going for it. But if you're less confident in that, take walking sticks with you. Which I guess brings me to my tips section. You know, you get a tent, you get a good tent, and it comes with these pegs. Make sure you get some extra ones that are really good for like rocky terrain, because the terrain that you're supposed to be camping on is really hard. And I think like I think it's possible, like we did use them, but I was really glad that we had 4 of these like big sturdy rock pegs that you could just like hit into the ground with a rock and then just like make sure that you were secure, you know? It was good. And I don't think people give you a reminder of that enough, because it's hard terrain. The second tip, you can be flexible. There are day hikes at specific places, so you can take your time in sometimes. But if it is sunny, try to make the most out of it. And you get kind of in this weird balance of like trying to do the hike as quickly as possible if it's sunny, because you're like, I want to see as much as possible in the sun, and also trying to make the most out of just like the place where you are at the moment. But I think in this case it's just really nice to talk to other people, to talk to the hut warden and see what the weather is going to do, because this hike is defined by the weather. So just roll with it, be flexible, realize that, you know, you might not be doing the plan that you had initially set out to do, and be ready for that. Tip number 3, no drones. Pass, Charlotte, take it away.
So we're walking through this beautiful, peaceful nature. I hear birds and nothing else. And all of a sudden I hear like a lorry sound. It's like, woo! This is a no drone area.
That's right. This whole zone, the entire mountain area, is a no drone area. Okay, you're walking through a very delicate ecosystem. They have these rules for a reason. Just like, don't do it. Don't use drones. And apart from the fact that I personally find them really annoying, just try to respect the rules, you know, leave no trace. Don't use drones if they have a no drone rule. Just like try to respect the rules that they have set in place, because they've set them in place for a reason. And finally, my last tip, and this really, really helped, is sleeping with your electronics in a sleeping bag. You will have no chance to charge any of your devices. So make sure you preserve that battery as much as possible. The battery obviously gets the most exhausted in like extreme temperature, so extreme heat or extreme cold. And at night, it gets cold. And my battery lasted amazingly. I think I ended the hike with like 70% left on my phone. My camera still had loads of battery. It was just a really good tip. So for me to you, you're welcome. So then after we did this hike, Yuga's dad was there at Skogar ready to take us, and he brought us straight to the Black Beach because it was quite near to Skogar, like in comparison to where Reykjavik is. So we saw this Black Beach, we saw puffins, it was amazing. Yuga's dad was like, puffin? Like, why do you want to see a puffin? In fact, at that point, he then pointed to a seagull and was like, look, there's a puffin right now. And I was like, that is not a puffin. Oh my God. But I guess Icelanders really do see puffins and seagulls as the same thing. They just really don't care. So we saw puffin. We also went to the Black Beach, which again, Yuli's dad was quite skeptical of because apparently the Black Beach is very dangerous. Anyway, then we got back to Reykjavik. We spent a few days there and we decided to go on our next big trip, which was to the Westfjords. Now, I know that the Westfjords are kind of forgotten when people go to Iceland. It's not really a priority, but Yuri's dad loves the Westfjords, and I was honestly quite excited to see it as well. Because I am Dutch, and I didn't know this about the Dutch, but I don't like seeing other tourists, and neither do any of the other Dutch people. So we got to the Westfjords, and it's just a bunch of Dutch people. Like, we were there, and then a Dutch person would come up to us and be like, hello, oh, what are you doing here? Isn't it so nice? There's no other tourists here. And it was just so strange that like a bunch of Dutch people had gathered in this one place because they thought there would be no other tourists, and then we all end up there. We started off at Krossneslaug, which, you know, if you look it up on Google Maps, it's like right at the top, and then you have a picture of this like pathetic looking swimming pool, and it just looks so ugly. But I swear, it was actually quite pretty. So we drove all the way there. It was like hours and hours of driving. We did it in 2 days, basically. And then we swam in this beautiful heated pool with a view of the waves. And at this point, Yuri's family all had to go. So they said goodbye to us, and Yuri and I stayed behind. And we actually arranged with the people from the swimming pool that we could stay there. So we camped the night there. And then in the morning, we used the swimming pool as like facilities for us to get ready for the day. So this is our view for tonight. There's the swimming pool. And this is our little setup for the night. Yuri and I also hiked the entire peninsula, like up north, which was absolutely beautiful. Did feel like I was doing a really adventurous thing, but did end with this really dodgy ladder, like a ladder that you just really don't want to feel stuck climbing up. But we had spent hours getting to this ladder, so we're like, well, we're not going to turn back, so we just had to climb up it. And that was quite scary. Yeah. Let's take the little walk along the beach, they said. Lovely. And then after Krossneslaug, we drove to Ísafjörður, which is right opposite Hornstrandir, which, you know, as a YouTube girly, I had my heart set on going to Hornstrandir, but we decided not to do that because A, the weather, B, time constraints, and C, it was really expensive to get there with the boat. So we decided to stay in Ísafjörður. Hot tip. If you are in Ísafjörður, talk to the tourist information and they will give you some incredible hiking tips. So we asked them for some hiking tips, and they were, normally, right, they get out a map and they're like, okay, so you should go here, and then you should follow the path here, and then you should follow the path here, and then you come down. These guys were just like, you see that big rock up there? You can walk to this rock. Then you walk along the top of the rock until you go here. And then you come down a little bit, then you go to the left, and then you come down from the rock. Don't worry, there actually isn't a path here, so you just have to make your way. It was very strange because we did both of these hikes and there was no one around, and the hikes were beautiful. They were windy for sure and messy, and yes, it was difficult without a path, but it was beautiful. And again, really nice that there was no one else there. We felt really comfortable veering off the paths at this point because clearly the tourist information was okay with us doing it, so it didn't feel as invasive or as bad. So we just did these hikes, and yeah, it was gorgeous. Yuri and I also did some whale spotting. Så der er mehrere. Oh, wow! And then it was time to go back. So we went through this really cool tunnel, and then on our way down, we came past Glimmer Waterfall. Hello.
Hello.
And welcome to the top of the mountain. Waterfall. Damn it. Now, On our very last day, Yuri and I decided to do the Golden Circle.
We've decided that I should do the Golden Circle, or at least part of the Golden Circle, before I go home. So today is a very touristy day. It's the last day. Get to see all the tourist highlights. Yes. Yes.
I know that most people tell you to do the Golden Circle like as soon as you get to Iceland. It's like, well, obviously you have to do the Golden Circle. I'm not gonna lie, this was my least favorite thing. It was really built up, really just like busy, like so busy. It made you feel like you weren't actually seeing the stuff that you were seeing. There was so many people like blocking each other and pushing each other, and it was just, they had found paradise and then paved it and put up a parking lot. That's what it felt like. It was just really sad. We saw Geyser, which is basically like this big like hot spring that like, you know, bubbles up and then at some point it like explodes, and obviously it's really fun and like tourists go and they're like, oh my god, it's gonna go, you know, and then it goes like whoop whoop whoop, and then it goes down and everyone's like, oh no, and it goes whoop whoop whoop, and then it explodes and everyone's like, oh my god. So apparently a few years ago there was a bigger one, and they used to put soap in it because they realized that if you put soap in it, it would just happen. So they put loads of soap into it until at some point it died and nothing ever came out of it again. And if that isn't a representation of what the Golden Circle felt like, I don't know what else is. This is what the Golden Circle meant to me, which I do realize I sound a little bit like a snob, but just know, like, if you want to go and see cool, untouched Iceland, the Golden Circle just isn't it for me. I'm sorry. If you want to see like real nice nature, I would say go and hike, like literally anywhere. You don't even have to do the Laugavegur, or you don't have to go to the Westfjords. You can literally just go into the middle of nowhere, park your car and walk. I feel like I need to end every single video with an apology about the fact that I haven't been here in a while. I do want to thank anyone who's still here, because it very much feels like this would be the kind of video where I just talk to myself for half an hour. I can't even imagine any of my friends still watching this one because I told them about Iceland. But if you're interested in going to Iceland, feel free to ask any questions in the comments below and I will do my best. I will ask Yuri's dad. The man is hilarious. I love Icelandic humor. If you want to have a good time, if you want to have a funny time, talk to an Icelander because they are amazing people. And yeah, respect the culture, respect the nature, respect the country. That's all I can say. Thanks for watching and have an amazing time in Iceland.